Welcome to Burning Bright, a weekly podcast presenting poetry and prose from Passager. Hanukkah, Christmas, Kwanzaa, New Year's, they all pale this year and recede to the background, because this month we're celebrating Passager co-editor Mary Azrael's 80th birthday. And because we couldn't find a cake big enough to hold 80 candles and one to grow on, we're commemorating the event by featuring Mary on this week's Burning Bright. She's been with Passager for over 30 years, almost from the very beginning. I asked Mary why she's stuck with Passager for so long.
It's just so enriching in every way in terms of the people who work together and the people that come into our lives, what they send for us to read. And a lot of that part of it comes from their cover letters and the way they talk about their lives. And I'm going to cry because I cry about everything now. I think it's because I'm almost 80. But really, there's so many ways to live a life and to come to the place where you find that writing does something for your being that nothing else did.
Here's Mary Azrael's poem, The Young Mother. My mother tells me a story. Not a story, a few treasured facts of my life before I was in it on my own. I lean closer to hear things that happened to her when she and I were one. How I thrill to the words, "where you were conceived." In the house full of clocks and dinosaur bones, a stranger's house in a strange landscape, in the middle of Texas, in the middle of the war. 1943. Nobody knew how it would end. 62 years ago, and now she's beginning to say, "There's not much time." I always thought there was plenty of time, but there isn't. We sit, our arms touching, at the Seder table, with everyone talking around us disappearing. And inside me, the young mother she was stretches out at the foot of my bed, leaning on her elbow, telling the little girl I was stories of the adventure she lived before I was born, when she and I were one. Mary Azrael's poem, The Young Mother. In our conversation, Mary talked about things she liked about working on Passager, but we know that there's no job that doesn't have its drawbacks, too.
One thing I really feel awful about is having to say no to so many wonderful writers because we can't afford to publish every terrific thing that comes in. And that's a big one. The other thing is sometimes, now that we are so connected by our phones, it's kind of like we're always working. We try not to be, but we are. But then when I think, well, do I really want to do this? I'm almost 80. I have all these other things I love to do. I have my own writing. I have read 3 books in the last 4 years. I used to read 3 books a week. But then when I think about it, I think, well, no, I don't want to stop doing this. It lifts my spirits so much, and I would really miss it.
Passager co-editor Mary Azrael said that of all the many Passager writers she loves and respects, one stands out.
Well, Jean Conner, of course, is the one who lives the largest in my heart because she was, our first book and such a gift to us in the way she helped us become book publishers, really, with her wisdom and her wonderful sense of humor and everything. And I miss her. I drink out of a coffee cup that she drank out of when she was in Baltimore. She's like my goddess.
Here's my favorite Jean Conner poem, Of Some Renown. For some time now I have lived anonymously. No one appears to think it odd. They think the old are, well, what they seem. Yet see that great egret at the marsh's edge, solitary, still. Mere pretense, that stillness. His silence is a lie. In his own pond he is of some renown, a stalker, a catcher of fish. Watch him. Of some renown, Jean Connor, from her first book, and Passager's first book, A Cartography of Peace. One more poem by Mary Azrael, this one from her book Riddles for a Naked Sailor. See if you can guess the subject. Sound or unsound, I am crumpled and bent, cupped to catch what no hand can touch. Shallow and small, I can hold the thunder and swallow great waves, though far from water. My power quivers between two partners, a talking drum, a listening snail. Did you guess what Mary was describing? If you guessed an ear, you were correct.
I think working on Passenger actually has had an effect on how I feel about turning 80. I'm kind of excited about it. I feel like a little kid, I'm going to be 80, I don't say I'm 79 anymore. I say I'm almost 80 like little kids do. They want to be older. And I'm pretty sure that came from Passenger. Just seeing all these fabulous people who discovered more and more about themselves in their 80s and even their 90s, it's amazing.
The best way you can help us celebrate Mary Azrael's 80th birthday is to make a donation to Passenger in her honor. You can do that by going to PassegerBooks.com and clicking on Donate. You can also mail a check to Passenger, 7401 Park Heights Avenue, Baltimore, Maryland, 21208. To buy Jean Connor's book, A Cartography of Peace, subscribe to, submit to, donate to, and learn more about Passenger and its commitment to writers over 50, go to PassegerBooks.com. Passeger's offices are shutting down for the holidays, but we'll be back shortly after the first of the year. For Kendra, Christine, Roseanne, and the rest of the Passenger staff, not to mention the birthday girl, I'm John Shore.